tonight we're tying some kind of cool stuff a little bit early, just trying to get you guys prepped for the springtime and what's someday going to come. If you live on the West Coast, mostly Northern California, Southern Oregon, spring's like a long ways away. We have torrential rain, downpours, shenanigans, flooding, dams destroying themselves. Pretty much just Oompa Loompa rivers right now. You see little orange men cruising around. But it's never too early to start tying for trout season. Most of the time I do all my trout tying in the summer, or I'm sorry, for the summer, in the winter, and all my steelhead tying in the summer, so I don't have to spend my time at the vise, you know, kind of prepped. Anyways, let's see if the chat function's working. Last week it kind of did. But we have some good patterns. We have a green drake for you guys, and kind of a play on a bird's nest. Hey Dennis, how's it going? Welcome and hello. So chat might be working. I don't know. We'll see. We'll progress forward from here, I guess. So I'm going to throw some extra stuff in the mix. Had a gentleman request kind of a tutorial, and I figured it would just be easier to do it on here. So first up tonight, I'm going to show you this little drake guy. Super basic. It's a really easy. Oh, comments are back to not working. Terry, hello. Rick, hello. Bob, hello. Salvatore, hello. Welcome. So what we'll do is we'll jump up close on this little green drake emerger fly that I've been fishing for a while, and I don't just tie it in the green drake. I'll explain that to you guys here in a second. So let's see. Oh man, I'm so bad at doing this myself. I need like a crew. Let's see if we can get that to focus here. Kind of likes my buttons, doesn't it? There we go. Anyways, so this is just a little emerger. It's really quick for me to tie, and I'll kind of explain it to you. It's got a super wide gap hook, which is a Daiichi 1150. You can tie it on any hook that you really desire. I just happen to like the 1150 for tons of my patterns. Hey Aaron, hello. Edward, hello. Mike, hello and welcome. And I am using pearl core braid, micro pearl core braid from my shuck. So you can see that's what that is. I've hollowed it out. Some biots, some partridge of course. No UV eye stub in black on this one. I'm sure it'll make an appearance at some point tonight. But a little bit of partridge that I dyed up and some olive primo deer hair. And we'll go ahead and show you guys how this thing works out. I need to keep my hand up here. Try to hyper focus it. Bingo. You stay on the fly. So what I'll do is I'm going to tie this tonight in a size 10 actually. Craig, hello. Eugene, thank you for coming. I'm looking forward to having you guys here. And you know, the reason I emphasize my hook gaps to you guys all the time, but I just kind of dig the curvature of this hook. I think it lends itself well to what I'm doing. And I'll tie these down to about a 14, maybe a 16. So this is a 10. Let's see, I'm going to try to center up that hook just a little bit better for you guys. Do some magic shimmy stuff here. So you can use whatever thread you want. I'll probably be a cheater and use my 50D as usual since I'm spinning some hair on this guy. But all I'm going to do is wrap back about to the hook point. Maybe in between the hook point and the barb. There's not a lot of meat on this fly. I wanted to keep it low and lean as possible. And I don't ever change how I use my braid. So I'll show you my trick here. So this is our pearl core braid. It's what I use for like my Alvato caddis and Just a ton of different patterns. Luke, hello. Ron, hello. Welcome twice. Nice buttons. Hey, I'm trying to look, you know, a little bit more respectable these days. Jake, hello. Andrew, welcome and hello. So now inside here, and the way I get this out is I just kind of, well, my scissors are a little sharp today, but start to dig it out of there. It's kind of like a Chinese finger cuff. If you have fingernails, that works too. I don't have that luxury. So I pull out the core, which comes out and looks like this spaghetti mess. And all I'm left with is this piece of braided awesomeness. It burns very readily. It's plasticky kind of a material, mylar. So what I do is I'll burn it until I get this little taily section here. And I just trim off the excess. Dude, you know it, Aaron. That's all I'm about is trench digging. I did 700 feet of sprinklers last weekend. And I can say I'm happy to be done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that little burnt section out the back quarter there. And secure that in. So that's going to be our pupil shuck for our mayfly pattern here. And if I'm going a little bit wonky, it's because I have to refresh again, because comments are not auto-loading, which is frustrating, so I apologize for that. And I'm drinking coffee. Hey Claire, hello and welcome. So next up in our material list is going to be some turkey biot here. And I like to get these long guys. You can see here's some pinner ones that are not so hot, and these guys are about 1.5 inches or so long. They're usually the upper, you know, the top portion of the leading edge of your feather. And this is going to create our segmentation. Whoa, that was a good plug for the Camp Sherman store. Roger's going to owe me a few bucks for that one. If you guys have never been to the Metolius, you should check it out. It's probably one of the most beautifully awesome places in the world. And the Camp Sherman store is pretty cool too. Ouch, ouch is right, Aaron. Yeah, that was, I got about halfway through and ended up renting a trencher. And then I found out that trenchers don't actually completely evacuate the tunnel. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to wrap forward with this biot, and you can see there's a ridge line right back here. It might be a little bit tough to see on camera, but that is going to be the main point of my body here. And yes, we're rocking out to banjos again tonight. So once I get up front here, we'll go ahead and secure that in. I don't mind over wrapping this. It's not going to create any trouble. It's ultimately going to get hidden away. Work smart, not hard. Yes, I try. Not very good at it, but tried. So next up, we're going to use some olive microfine dubbing from Hairline, and I mean this is probably enough to do like 8 flies, but that's okay. One bag of, you know, $2.50 dubbing will probably last you a good portion of your tying career, especially if you tie a lot of Baetis patterns with it. So I just created just a little bit of a ball to separate, And next up we're going to add our legs in. So what I'm going to use for legs is some partridge, and I really like to jump in there and find an even one so I can cheat, do that cheat move. Let's see. Jake asks, where is Loon based out of? So Loon is a pretty interesting company, Jake. Our main office is in Boise, Idaho. That's like our warehouse. Our corporate office is in Ashland, Oregon, and I live in Northern California. So we're kind of all spread out. And you're right, Jeff. That was pretty over watching and biting my fingernails over the Oroville situation. Although here in Redding, the river's pretty big. It just dropped, but it was probably a good 6.5 feet from my street, which meant that it was at my foundation if it went 6.5 feet more. So I'm happy that it's receding for this next storm to come in. So if you guys remember during the tying session with Mercer, he likes to peel these guys off separately. I target the ones that are equal and have good symmetry, and I'll just go ahead and split that. Now this is the natural curvature of the feather. I'm going to go ahead and have it curve away from the body so these legs kind of start to hang down a bit. And I don't mind if it gets kind of all the way around that bottom half of the fly. I don't think it makes a difference. And we'll introduce just a little bit of a touch more of our microfine. Yeah, between trenching this week and tuning up the scissors, it's been a lot of work. It's alright though. And I'm just going to go ahead and kind of create like a big thorax here of dubbing. And actually I'll stop my thread right here in the middle. I don't really stress out about it. So for our wing for this pattern, we're just going to use some deer hair. And you can see this is a primo deer hair strip. They come in these mega long deals. They get stuff stuck to them. My puppy's probably chewed on it. And I'm going to take a pretty hardy section of deer hair. I mean, it's probably, guys talk about pencils or whatever, but it's a pretty healthy chunk. And we'll put that in the stacker. So it's kind of an interesting half comparadine style wing that we're going to do on here. Go ahead and clean out any offenders, anything that doesn't look super killer. That's a little bit heavy. I'm going to pull a little bit out of there. Pinch right where I want. So you can see I don't want a ton hanging out front here. Maybe we want just a hair more than that. But we're really going to put some initial pressure on it and just pull straight down. This is a size 10. Thanks, Jake. Appreciate you helping a fellow tyer out there as I had to refresh. I'll just go ahead and I'm going to trim off this excess here pretty gingerly. And I'll go ahead and just throw a few more wraps in there. And actually at this point I'll just come in and I just whip finish back here. I don't find that it makes a difference. With the 50D GSP thread, kind of try to keep it on top there. Once you cinch it down, get it prettied up. Then we can go in here and trim everything out if we get anybody underneath. So it kind of just has this cool profile behind it. And you know, you can change the wing and everything like that to meet what you need. But yeah, that's just a little emerger there. It gets kind of stuck. The hook sits down low in the water, and it works really well. So you know, I use this for anything bigger than a PMD. If you go past PMDs, I don't think you could do a Batis emerger. I think it would be pretty, unless you really don't like yourself, you could try. But all in all, pretty fun pattern, and it sits super low in the water, not a lot to see. You could throw in a little bit of a hot wing if you wanted to, like a, you know, like some of our Parapost, if you needed a little bit of extra viz. But outside of that, it's pretty, it's going to be pretty mellow fly to fish. Floats a lot of flotation. So next up, it's going to be really bright. So there's a pattern, and it's probably one of the most productive patterns ever out here on the West Coast, which is a bird's nest. I think it was developed by like a guy named Cal Bird. Rick asked if I ever tie it in a dun color. Absolutely, yeah. I just kind of nerded out and got all matchy-matchy with my greens. You could definitely tie it in a dun color, or you know, even do a two-stage colored wing, you know, where you stack the two different hairs on top of each other. But absolutely, yeah, you can mix and match your wing colors and body colors. Just see what they want to eat. But the dun thing definitely is a good call there. I would definitely fish that with a dun wing. So this is kind of my spin recently on bird's nest, and it's using a lot more kind of new school materials, I guess you say. Frank asks, could you use elk hair instead of deer hair? Absolutely. You could definitely use elk hair. I don't see it dyed typically in as many colors at my local shops, or the catalog that I order stuff out of, but yeah, you could definitely use elk hair, Frank, if you're looking for a little bit more flotation as well. Great question. So 7 or 8 years ago, I got pretty stoked out on Euro nymphing and, you know, Czech style flies and stuff like that, and then kind of the jig craze really started to hit, and you know, you had to get stuff in weird places. Now you really don't have to. They're pretty commercially available. So the one thing I'll say with, you know, my talks about hook gaps is through guiding I've seen, you know, increased hookups by anglers. A lot of people go, man, you know, they can understand like the jig philosophy, say for like Czech nymphing or something like that. But sometimes when you throw it under an indicator, they're like, well, wait a second, you know, I've never thought about doing that, or does that work well? And one thing I've noticed as far as fish retention and jig hooks is I have now a 5-year-old daughter, and when I started fishing all of my same flies on jigs with her, you know, converting every pattern over to a jig hook, she caught more fish. And by no means, Alani, I'll get back to your question just in a second, but by no means is it because she's progressed so rapidly as a 5-year-old angler, but it's actually, I feel, because of the hook and the mechanical advantages that it offers. The wing just depends, but I would put it at just under a ½ an inch tall. So again, this is Cal's bird nest. Little bit of my own spin on it. We have a hot bead on here. I'm going to tie this 2 separate ways and show you guys 2 different variations of jig hooks that are pretty much the staples in my box. So first up, I'll tie this kind of version here, and then I'm going to tie this jig fly that I did on Instagram yesterday, because apparently it was popular. So a trick is, too, if you're getting frustrated by your jig bead moving, you can put a drop of some flow in there, and I just hit it, and now my jig bead isn't moving around. Sometimes they can kind of flop back down the hook and throws off your proportions as you're looking throughout the fly. Now we don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to switch over to a, what is this, 14-aught? No, this is just an 8. Just like an 8-aught Vivus in brown. You could use the 50D. Actually, I think I called for 50D. So my tail section here is, it's going to be really hard to see. And this is, you'll be able to tell the feather. I'll show a whole bag of it. This is some locally sourced, high quality, some wood duck. And the little lemon wood duck feathers are absolutely amazing. They are very light and delicate, and their barring is slightly less thick, I would say, than, say, mallard that you would normally buy. You know, you'll see it dyed into a wood duck color. So I take off about 1/8 of an inch of a pinch of that guy, and I'll tie that in as my tail segment. Not a ton of tail. It's just very light, and I don't want a lot of bulk behind this fly. I want this slotted tungsten bead to really do its work. So this is a Vivus body quill. This one happens to be like a brownish tan color. I use it quite a bit for ribbing now, and the reason is it because it creates a dark spot, but as you can see, it's still translucent. It may not totally show up on the camera, but it's still a very translucent material. And probably one of my favorite ice dubs, other than the brown, is ice dub tan. It's ICE 369. Doesn't make that many appearances on the show yet, but I just really dig this color, and it's just a very light translucent color, and all I'm going to do is about a 50-50 split between that and some retro. My computer stopped here for a second. It's kind of a bummer. Actually seems to be live streams page, only not loading. Google Chrome not responding. Alright, well, let's try a different browser. See if that works. So all I'm going to do, guys, sorry, I'm going to go ahead and do, just keep mixing this, guys, and once you get a pretty good blend behind it, let's see what happens here. I don't want to miss you guys' comments and just tie in the blind. That'll be a bummer. So I'll go ahead and set this down. You can see my body quill has made quite the hot mess. Wasn't paying attention. Let's see here. There we go. I'm just going to go ahead and tie this in all the way to the back. And as you can see, I have very minimal amounts of dubbing here. This isn't a thick-bodied fly. It's a very lightly, very light tapered bug here. I'm just going to do a real light build up to where we want to put in our leg segment. By using just two lighter variations of the dubbing, we're able to get a really clean looking little body here. And I'm totally out of focus, so I apologize. Wants my button. Tore up hands. So next up, I'll just go ahead and come through, and I'm ribbing with this material. It's going to give it that segmentation that we really like, and we'll just pin it in there. My goodness, computer. Oops, looks like I chopped my bead loose there. That's odd. Sorry guys, I don't know why Livestream's page is down for me, but we'll work through it, I guess. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use some more of our lemon wood duck. My camera won't focus right now. Wants my button. There we go. So we're going to use some more of our lemon wood duck here. And we'll put this in on either side. Nice loose wraps to begin with, and then I'm just going to pull them in. And again, sparse and nice and mellow, so we'll just pull these guys in, and we'll go ahead and wrap forward. Maybe I can jump on live stream from my phone. That will be a first here on Loon Live. Maybe I'll even see comments faster. And next up, we're going to introduce just a little bit more of that dubbing blend for our collar here. You don't want too much. If you get kind of a lot going, you can always pinch it back off. And there we go, and we'll whip finish right up here. I'll go ahead and drop some UV down in the top, and it's just going to saturate just that little bit and kind of be the binding glue. And you can see that really pops up and makes that bead just pop like mad. So yeah, it's just the little cowbird bird's nest on a jig. I did forget to say, so the two jig hooks that I use the most, and I apologize, is the 4640 and then the one that we'll be using for the next few flies, which is the 35045 jig force. One has a barb, one does not, is the only difference. So, I'm mildly in the blind, working on it by myself, trying to figure out why this isn't doing its thing. But that's okay. I'll catch up on the comments here in a hot minute. So, I'm going to show you guys how to change that. Sometimes, you know, that gold bead, Mercer was talking about that gold bead fly. I agree with him. Gold beads catch a ton of fish. Very, very cool. So we'll pull out some more of our tail material here. And again, I'm flying a little bit blind, so I apologize. They don't seem to have a search function on their app, which is less than stellar. And for this guy, what I have in here is I think it's like a 7/64 bead, and I put a bug collar behind it. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with bug collars, they're kind of a cool way to spice up a fly. And on my jigs, I do it in reverse. So I can build a small thread dam here, and it's going to hold everything in place. And then we can go in and work with our tail. So, again, we'll just use some of our wood duck, probably about a little less than 1/4 of an inch worth for the tail section here. And you can change that tail length, and the cool thing with these bug collars on jigs, and when you reverse them, it kind of cups the jig, hides, you can see it'll hide that hole that is causing all of the, you know, everybody goes, oh, the hole sits there. It doesn't really matter. It's not going to make a fish eat it or not. Again, like always, they have like 0.3 seconds to decide whether they dig this or not. So that's about what they have. But it's a cool way. These come in a multitude of colors. I've actually I'm running a little bit low currently on them, so I just have blue. But I looked on the website, and it looks like they have purples and everything, just tons of colors. Hey, look at that. We'll wait while you change into a black shirt. Do they still make those even? Yeah, I think they do. I need bifocals. Oh boy. Hook number. Let's see. Hell yeah, you did. Tuned in just in time. Absolutely. Caught any steelhead yet? No, not since November. I haven't even been steelheading. Been slacking off working. So I guess that's probably not slacking off. So I'm back. I'm running. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they still make these things. Either that or Hairline just has a surplus on them. I like these things. I see them at shops. So I'm going to use our Vivus body quill again. Same brown. But it's just a cool way if you get dialed in with just gold beads and like one set of jig hooks. You know, I'll tie these down to about a 16. That you can really just, you know, change the play on the fly, if you will, as long as it's within reason. And this is a 7/64 bug collar, so it's pretty cool. So we're just going to do kind of the same story that we did with our body. I am going to bulk it up a little bit faster here because we're going to have a little bit less of our collar area to work with, and we'll just come back through and rib through these guys again. And these are some pretty good box fillers. So with the bird's nest, I would tie it all the way up to or in different color. I'm sorry. I already said what I'd tie through, but the different colors, you know, olives, some blacks, browns, the tan's a very popular one as well. So Frank asked a good question. So all the slotted beads that I've come across are going to be tungsten beads. The little bug collars are brass, I want to say, because they're not that heavy. Or I could read the package and then be completely correct. So it's kind of a combination that's actually going to add some weight to the fly, and really get that down there. Huge proponent of tungsten beads though. I'm going to pull those legs out. Make them a little longer. Throw a few wraps in there. So it's kind of cool. It's just an easy way to create like a hot spot or a, you know, a good wild color behind your fly really quick and easy. And I found if you turn them around, it's actually when I like them the most. I don't know why, but it seems to be my favorite methodology. Okay, got a little bit willy-nilly there. Do a little refresh here. So yeah, just a cool, fun little variation on a bird's nest, and one that you can really not have to. You know, it's a nice heavy fly, but you can switch it up with a cool collar. You could also do a thread collar, I guess. So I'm just on a jig kick tonight. So Mr. Hell Yeah You Did asked for this guy. Asked me the name of it. I asked a friend what he thought of it, and he said it looks like a home wrecker. So I guess we'll call it the home wrecker. It's not slated for the live stream tonight, so it's a bit of a bonus fly. But that's fine by me. So I'll use, tie it big so it's easier to see, so we don't have to do bifocals or trifocals. Just getting a hot bead out for this guy, and you can tie it if you know you don't have hot beads. You can tie it with brass or black, whatever you want. And I'm going to be using the 35045, this jig force, size 12. It's a nice wide gap hook, fairly inexpensive for a 50 pack. Mo jig, mo better. Yeah, it's it's a really quick fly. Whoop, turning on the tank. There's no tank right now. Preposterous. It's a really quick fly. It works. It gets down, and you can kind of bounce jigs off the rocks, especially in freestones, fast riffly water, stuff like that. I find that I don't hang up as often. So my tail for this guy is going to be bronze mallard. I'm a huge proponent of using the fancy feathers. I think there's just a natural coloration that you get from the natural stuff. You know, like with the bronze mallard, you can see how many, might not show up that well on the camera, but you can see how much variation there is in there. Same with lemon wood duck. It just keeps it, I don't know, it's really clean. I just tend to like it more. And we'll use some of this brownish tan body quill. And so I'll just put this down the side. I'm going to wrap it all the way to the back where our tail starts. So next up we're going to take, this is some Vivus hollow tinsel. This is a medium and it happens to be in red. So this kind of plays out into being like a hotspot PMD for me. And what I like to do here is I'm just going to lean it towards me just a hair. and then I'll go ahead and wrap it in. I'll really secure this down. I don't want a ton of that to come through with the body here. So I want more of that white base that you're seeing right now. Flip our jig bead around. And all I'm going to do is I'll just space this out so there's some light, some more white kind of the lighter segment. So this will actually create segmentation on the body. Again, I'm just using red. You could use, you know, a green and white underbody here. And if you notice, I doubled that body quill up into 2 strands. You can use lighter body quill or darker body quill. So I build all of my taper for the whole body system with the body quill. And I don't mind wrapping back over it. Once I UV it, it will really kind of start to hide any of its little ridges or imperfections. Again, not a ton of build on this fly. Our premise here is to get down and fish. You know, we're already at a pretty significant disadvantage compared to most other forms of fishing. So what I do is, once I put the UV flow on there, you'll really see that red to start coming through. And it's not a real bright red, but it's oh, sorry. Whoa. Second bead called again. Sorry, Charles, that's a bug caller. Do I go live on YouTube sometimes? I do not. I don't do a ton with the YouTube, personally. Do I ever wet the quill to make it more pliable? No, I don't. Since it's it's a synthetic anyways, I can actually use this like a thread. I have no issues putting this in the bobbin. And the body quill is just, if you're familiar with like diamond braid, like you can see I just tied a knot in it, and you can't see where the knot ended up. So I don't get it wet. Plus so here I'll tie another knot. You can see there's a knot, and I mean it's pretty pliable, and actually has a really good amount of strength behind it. So you could put it in a bobbin, tie the whole fly with it if you wanted, if you were a little bit more delicate. So for my next little section, I dig this STS trilobal brownstone, and it's kind of got some yellows, browns, and reds in it. It's a really cool multicolor dub. Do you tie on, let's see, so Craig asked, do I tie on the big game jaws a lot and keep going back and forth on my jaws? Great question. I do carry, I have both sides of jaw, Craig, and I do use the big game jaws quite a bit when I'm tying large saltwater stuff or really big like bass flies, when I'm getting up into like 6, 7, 8/0 stuff. If that's more of your focus, that big game jaw would probably serve you a little bit better. As this stands, I think this goes up to like maybe a 5/0 on the stainless. But if you tie more trout stuff, I would probably recommend sticking with the more trouty jaws. Where did I get a bottle of flow that big? Well, I made it. If not to be a booger about the question, but I formulated the UV resins, but so I have stickers and bottles, and when I put it in a bottle, it goes in a big bottle, and I put a sticker on it. So I made it myself. It's not something that's available, but I use a lot of flow. at demos and stuff like that, and being the product designer, I guess that's my special little thing that I have. Hopefully that's not too rude. But yeah, I get everything in gallons, so just put it together and put it in that big bottle. So next up, this is just a little CDC. It's one of my favorite materials. This one happens to be dyed brown. The better the CDC, the better, in my opinion. If you're going to take a lot of time and tie some bugs, then you might as well do as much as possible and get the goods. So I'm just going to do a few wraps. Costco. We actually just broke into Costco. We're doing the Costco size bottle. It's available in 2 ounce and 20 gallon actually. It's right next to the 16 pounds of soy sauce. So you can keep it pretty light. Not too much CDC. You can go heavier on your CDC depending on your water conditions, how much visibility you want your fly to have. There's really no perfectly right answer. And just for good measure, UV Ice Dub Peacock Black is my preferred color for this. I do like, on this particular colorway, I do like to have a little bit of a darker color. Costco. That would be the end of fly fishing altogether. Just Costco shenanigans, tubs of UV resin. So we'll do a whip finish there. Get a lot of pressure on it. We'll get that really well locked in there. And then I do like to fill the top of my plummeting tungsten jig beads with UV resin. I just feel like it goes in there and manipulates it all down. Go ahead and cure that. Call her good. So you can see you get a lot of that, kind of that red and brown start to show through. It's not a real flashy brown, or a flashy red, I'm sorry, but it's definitely in there and works out pretty well. Alrighty. I'm going to zoom out so you guys don't have to. I think soy sauce and flies, I mean, I think it could be cool. I think it's definitely legit, Aaron. Kirkland brand flow. Yeah, it was actually just made by Loon and bottled for Kirkland. It went through their stringent testing process. So yeah, hopefully that gets you guys fired up for some future trout activity. All in all, pretty good little box fillers there. You can see fun little flies to tie. Really not over the top with steps and procedures and everything like that. And but they're going to catch fish. I mean, the bird's nest. I'd almost battle a PT versus a bird's nest as one of the only flies that I would carry in my box if I had to choose one. Soft hackle bird's nest, giant bird's nest. I think you could catch flats fish on a big bird's nest. I think they'd think it was a shrimp. But that's about all I have for this evening. I think it's a few weeks out here. Yeah, if you guys are in Pleasanton this weekend, next weekend. Nope. Hell yeah, you did. What's the name of these flies? Quill body? Same thing. I'm not familiar with the quill body. It's called Body Quill by Vivus. I don't think I have... Oh, give Vivus a good plug there. Let's see if I can get it. There you go. That's the stuff. BQ11 is a lighter color. I'm bad at bead sizes and keeping thread sizes. Soy sauce flies are big in Asia. But yeah, if you guys are around Pleasanton next weekend, I'll be kind of cruising somewhere. And I'm on the road for the next week, and then we'll be back here for Loon Live. So if you have any requests, requirements, something you want to see that you haven't seen before, feel free to shoot us an email. It's just matt@loonoutdoors.com. Social media, you got a lot of people find me that way too. Yeah, just feel free to reach out if you guys want to see something. Otherwise, I'll get creative again. Maybe more jig flies. We'll tie some caddises or something. Who knows? Big in Minnesota. Let's see. Hey Jim, shoot me an email, just matt@loonoutdoors.com, and I shoot with a lot of cameras, quite a few, like 5, for different things, so I'll be able to narrow it down better for your answer. Ed, thanks for tuning in. Lonnie, thank you. Aaron, yeah, we'll talk to you later. Thanks, Bob. Frank, I appreciate it. Claire, thanks for tuning in. And Craig. Anyways, guys, we'll talk to you later. Have a great night, and stay dry out there with this next series of storms that's coming in. All right, cheers.